The Spanish announce table.
God, this feels like home. We haven't been here in a while. I'm Tim. That's Tom over there. This is the Spanish announce table, or as I think it's best described in one of my best YouTube comments that I've seen in a while that we got recently was, this is an irreverent and frankly annoying boomer platform that 12 of you are pretending to care about. So we'd like to thank those dozen of you now for that. So yeah. How's it going, Tom?
Yeah, who's called irreverent?
Yeah.
No one can even spell that word. What are we doing?
He said it was time to grow up and step away from the microphone, yet he had 69 in his handle name on his YouTube name. And I was like, okay, brother. Like,
yeah.
At the time, too, I was like, hey, listen, guy, it's 2 a.m. and I'm partying in the clubs of Mykonos right now. So fuck whatever you thought was cool, right? Like, so I was just like, all right, fine. This is kind of fun.
Oh, this was recent?
We got a comment. We got a comment. This is a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. Shows that I fucking pay attention.
Yeah, fucking.
Tim, you are back in the country. You want to tell people what you were up to on our little hiatus?
Yeah, went on a 20-year wedding anniversary. Somebody is married and stayed married to me for 20 years. And so we celebrated that, and we went to Greece. We went to Athens, Mykonos, Santorini, Rhodes, couple, the islands around there, Bodrum, Turkey. Had a little fun trip of it. It was amazing. We had a blast. Then I caught COVID when I got home.
Well,
so for about a week, I've been passed out. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So were you on a cruise? How did you get to all these places?
Yes. Yes and no. So like the first 4 days, it was just Athens, Greece. Like we flew over there, did some of the sights and sounds there because there's a plenty, right? You could stay there for weeks and never see everything, right? And then we boarded a cruise ship and hit some of the other islands that stopped back in Athens, and we flew home. Virgin Voyages. Okay. Can't speak highly of it. It was awesome. It was great. It was
about virgins?
Fun. Yeah, Virgin. Yes, Virgin Voyages. So right, they were like, well, you're clearly a virgin. So you get on the boat. Yeah, no. So they were an adults only cruise line.
Hold on. I'm getting confused. What's Virgin?
This is the brand name. It's the company. It's the Virgin Voyages, right? It's the cruise.
Okay. I didn't hear the Voyages part. I thought you just kept saying, "Hey, credits to the Virgins," and I'm like, "Why are you talking?" Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yes.
Now I'm
yes,
okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So yeah, super awesome because they're an adults only, right? So there's no kids on the cruise, right? Which is we're there for a 20-year wedding anniversary and some shit, right? Like we didn't want to deal with any of that,
Yeah,
so,
who would ever want to be by kids?
Right.
Yeah.
And so also with that though, like the shows were more adult themed, right? They had like innuendo abound around the place, right? So it was more fun, right? Like we had to keep convincing my son that we were not going on a swinger cruise, right? I was like, look, I mean, maybe you don't want to hear something about your parents right now, but like I was like, I promise you, Virgin is not what you're saying it is. But it was, I would say, you know what I mean? They were like, hey, we're all fucking adults here, right? And so, like, show might be hosted by a drag queen. They didn't give a shit, you know what I mean? Like, and, no apologies necessary kind of a thing, right? So the show was cool like that. And I liked it. It was nice. You hop around. They're your hotel. They're your travel, right? You just, by day, you go out and walk around port, whatever fucking city you're in, buy some stuff, do some tourist stuff, and then hop back on the boat while they fucking take you over to the next spot.
I could never do a cruise. Yeah. So credit.
I thought the same thing. The same thing. But then when I started reading, I was like, okay, so basically while we're sleeping, they're driving the boat, right? And then all day long I'm running around on thing. I was like, this sounds fine. I was like, I'm gonna roll with
that's not the thing that I would either be in two different modes where I'm gonna have the time of my life. Whoops, I missed the boat, or I'm going to make sure I don't miss the boat. So I'm not really having that great of a time because I'm not getting that far away from the boat. I'm always going to see the boat. So like I would just.
So what we did is they had a lot of excursions that you could buy from them, right? You could probably save a little money if you bought these from folks on the economy, but you buy it from them. So they're like, hey, show up on this floor of the boat at 8:30, right? We're putting you on a tender, right? That takes you to this port. Like we have a tour guide right there, right? With a sign. They go walk around. They show you some of these things. They put you back on the boat back to the ship, right? That kind of thing. So they were like, look, if you're more experienced, then you can save some money, get these excursions. on your own, but they were like, if you've never done it before, which we had not, they were like, just buy the excursions from the boat. And it was awesome because then, like, you know what I mean? There wasn't that fear, right? Like, we didn't have that fear of like, I'm not going to make it back in time. Like, I already knew when I was getting back, right? And who was getting me there and all that jazz. So it was pretty good. It was fun. I liked it a lot. Relatively cheap compared when you start factoring in everything, right? If you had to buy your own hotels, get your own, boats here and there and get somebody to get you to the next island and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, it was cool. It was my big adult vacation.
Well, I like it. Good for you. Yeah. 20 years married, hanging out on a boat in Greece. I love it. Good. It was a blast.
It was good. And then COVID, and that sucks. So the last week I've been dead. I've been hanging out.
Yeah.
Just
so we said 2 weeks that we would be gone, but unfortunately it was 3 because Tim, as he just mentioned, had COVID, and I am not at the capacity to do a show by myself. I barely have the energy to do a show with Tim. So if Tim doesn't do it right now, neither do I. So that's good that you had a great time in Greece. And now, did you keep up on any trends or news topics of the wrestling world while you were in Greece?
Yeah, I managed to catch up. I wouldn't say like I was watching it live as everything was happening while we were on the ship and on the trip and everything, time differences. But yeah, I mean, I've stayed up to speed. I've gotten through WrestleDream and Dynamite and all of that, and we're here. Yeah, we're here.
I like it. All right. Well, hey, since we're here, let's get into one of our favorite little bits, segments, whatever you'd like to call it. Let's get into our little time machine and do On This Day. Speaking of Adam Copeland.
Yes. Let me pull that up. I'm excited to go.
Back in time.
All right. On this day. Tom, October 9th, 2000. 2000. God, did you probably have... You probably didn't diet, but did you have the Caesar Bowl cut going on? Double XL shirt, double XL white tee.
No, not white tee. No, it was oversized basketball jerseys, but I had a buzz haircut because I couldn't afford a haircut. So my friend who mowed lawns just also
mowed your head.
Gave me a buzz. Yeah,
mowed your face.
That's what I said. I said, hey, just like your yards, just make sure you don't miss anything, and that's what I used to do.
Yeah. Well, fun. All right. WWF Monday Night Raw aired from Anaheim, California. Lita defeated Jacqueline in a hardcore match.
Sure.
Steve Blackman defeated Raven in a hardcore match. Al Snow retained the European title, defeating Test, but the biggest bombshell of the night was when Commissioner Mick Foley revealed the results of his investigation into who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin at Survivor Series nearly a year prior, revealing the culprit was this man. On this day,
Rikishi.
Yeah, this one was an easy one, right? Getting back into things.
He did it.
Can't stump you too much here.
For The Rock.
He did it for The Rock. I love The Rock was like, bitch, what?
Yeah. And then it got convoluted because then it turned into actually Triple H paid Rikishi and then wanted to frame The Rock. Again, we're going to talk about a little bit down the road here about next Tuesday's shows. And this is a prime example, some foreshadowing about what I'm going to talk about later, because they don't have plans. They just make it up. Yeah. And it's always bad. They've done 4 stories in their entire history: Bloodline, Austin McMahon, Hogan, Savage, and then the start of the whole boom where they just go everywhere. It's anyhow. Yeah. So another example of what shit sucks.
Yeah. This is a prime example of how they do things, right? It's like, oh man, okay, that was surprising. Actually, Rikishi, I didn't expect it. But then the reasoning is I did it for The Rock, who's like, what? No, you didn't. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, no, I didn't. Like, I actually did it for this. And I was just lying about that. And like, okay, fuck.
Yeah, it's just so stupid. I read Brian Gert's
feels like
book.
Elias, right? Feels like Elias turned into Ezekiel. Turned into Elias.
So I read Brian Gert's book, and he talked about the night when Stone Cold got hit. And he even said to Vince, he's like, so what's the payoff? And Vince said to him, we'll figure it out. So it's like they're just do it. And so anyhow, yep, that was it. Rikishi.
Rikishi. All right. Yeah. October 10th, 2010. TNA Bound for Glory was held in Daytona Beach, Florida. The Motor City Machine Guns retained the TNA Tag Team titles, defeating Max and Jeremy of Generation Me. Young Bucks.
I bet you they never did anything.
Yeah. Tara won the TNA Knockouts title, defeating Angelina Love, Velvet Sky, and Madison Rayne, with Mickie James as the special guest referee. Jay Lethal retained the X Division Championship over Douglas Williams. Jeff Hardy won the World Heavyweight Championship, defeating Kurt Angle and Ken Anderson in a no DQ triple threat. But the biggest bombshell of the night was after this match, where the final reveal for the much-hyped 10-10-10 references turned out to be they. Tom, who was they?
I don't know.
This
They? Who is they?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, he's one of them. He is definitely one of they. Yes. Yes, he is.
Is it the originals? Is it like the...
It is Jeff Jarrett. It is Jeff Hardy, Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, and Abyss, forming what eventually becomes called Immortal.
Oh, yeah. And then Jeff Hardy had the belt.
Yeah,
that
he
was
had
like
that weird belt that he made. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize they started
sucked.
as they. Yeah.
Yeah, they were they. And it was all the 10-10-10. Right? They had been talking about that for weeks.
What is that? What is that goddamn collect call? What the fuck is the 10-10? Jeez. That sounds, there you go. That is the boomer stuff. I'm talking about collect calls.
Yes.
10-10, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that is pretty boomerish. I will give you that. Yeah, that one I was like, boomer. I was like, dude, come on. Boomers are 70. All right. Well, maybe we look 70. October 11th, 2016. WWE SmackDown Live aired from San Jose, California. Dolph Ziggler defeated Kenny and Mikey in a handicap tag match. Remember this? When like this was the what was the group he was in? The cheerleaders, the Spirit Squad. Yeah, they were coming back to be like, "Fuck you, it should have been us" or whatever.
Yes, I do remember something like that. Yes.
Naomi defeated Carmella. Jimmy Uso defeated Chad Gable. Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper defeated Kane and Randy Orton. The biggest bombshell of this night was when special guest referee Dean Ambrose officiated a match that AJ Styles would lose to which wrestler?
A pedophile.
Yeah.
James Ellsworth.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
He denies it. Go figure.
Yeah.
Any man with two hands.
And a cell phone that has a 14-year-old's number.
Cell phone and that hand on something else. I think AJ Styles hates that anytime. You think people razz him with that one? Be like, that's why he jobbed to Ellsworth.
Yeah. I would every time.
Yeah. October 12th, 1992. WWE taped several matches in Saskatoon that would be shown throughout the next several weeks on episodes of WWF Superstars and Primetime Wrestling. These matches were primarily to promote the upcoming Survivor Series and featured the debuts of Yokozuna and the Head Shrinkers. Featured an Intercontinental title match between the British Bulldog and the Repo Man. Marty Jannetty making a surprise return to attack Shawn Michaels a year removed from the barbershop window incident. And Money Inc. defending tag team titles that they didn't actually win until tapings in a different town the next night. And the first ever WWE World Heavyweight title victory. Well, WWF. Sorry. World Heavyweight title victory for this wrestler who defeated then champion Ric Flair.
Bret Hart, your favorite.
Bret the Hitman Hart. Yes, your other favorite here. This match was acknowledged, but oddly enough, never actually shown on WWF television. They did show it on Coliseum Video VHS release, though.
Yeah. Man, this was a weird time because you had like Flair and Hogan, but then you started to see more Razor and Shawn and Bret. And 92 was a very transitional year for
period.
And even over in WCW, same kind of thing where it was like it's Sting, it's Luger, but then we're kind of elevating the Steiners, but then hey, here's Ron Simmons, but don't forget about Vader. Yeah, that was a lot going on in 92. Fun time.
All right, well, let's go to a not fun time and one that you probably won't get.
Back in time.
Right here when we see what happened on this day. On October 13th, 2014, WWE Monday Night Raw was held in Atlanta, Georgia. Randy Orton defeated Dolph Ziggler. Rusev, oh yeah, R.I.P. Dolph Ziggler. Character's done.
Character, yeah, he's not done.
Yeah.
Yes, he's out of WWE.
Yeah.
Well,
the
the way
guy
you
playing
said
Dolph
it-
Ziggler lives, but Dolph Ziggler,
okay. Yeah,
he's done.
The way
He's
you
done.
said it, though, I thought I missed something. I was like, what the fuck happened here?
No. All right. Anyway, where are we at here? Rusev defeated The Big Show. At the time, I think Rusev was undefeated still. Brie Bella, Naomi, and Natalya defeated Cameron, Nikki Bella, and Summer Rae. Great times for the women's division. Mm-hmm. And the biggest bombshell of this night, however, was when The Authority would make John Cena and Dean Ambrose compete against each other, even though they had just paired earlier that evening to win a triple threat tag team match against the Usos and Goldust and Stardust. And not only would Ambrose and Cena have to face each other, but it would be in what type of match? Good stuff. Great stuff.
I would say a hardcore match.
It's a no-holds-barred contract on a pole match where the winner gets to face Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell.
Was this when fucking Russo was helping out, coming back in? Hey, I got one more idea for you.
One last on a pole match.
Hey,
one
before
last
I'm out of here, well, we just throw that up there. Okay, hey, I'm out of here, guys. And let me get my hat. Yeah.
Cena and Dean, right? What could go wrong?
Oh, man. What could go wrong in a pole on a pole match or whatever?
Theo P in the chat here wants to know how much does Bret Hart charge to show up on the Spanish announce table? He's asked several times, allegedly.
Oh, I would always say no.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, you could do it. If you wanted to interview Bret Hart, that's fine. I will not.
I don't think I could do it seriously. Like, I would try to throw some things in there.
I would just be like, why are you so mad? I'm mad too. I get it. But like, what is it? What's the root cause? Do you think people are going to forget you? So that's why you keep complaining?
If Bret gets wind of this, I want to say there could be money here, right? Let's have an interview where, like, maybe we don't like each other, right? I think that could be a good interview. Let's see what happens here. Bret doesn't seem to shy away from that. Like,
right. And what is he going to do to us?
One thing Bret doesn't seem to be is a pussy. Like, as far as like confrontation is concerned, right? Like he'll fucking he'll fight you, he'll argue, and he'll fucking bitch, right? Like, so
love it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. I would love to talk to him in that regard, but I'm not going to interview him and be like, so remember when you had to carry Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam? Oh, and then you had to do it again in front of the biggest crowd in UK, British Bulldog. He was an alcoholic, but you, Bret, you were the absolute best, right? And then just him going, fucking,
yeah.
I would have my Goldberg action figure just sitting right there when I talked to him the entire time.
Just Goldberg, right?
Right there.
Bill Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that was on this day, but that's not the only thing we like to do for you to kind of whet your pro wrestling whistle. That's a phrase I just made up. That's not the only thing we like to do to get you in the mood, if you will. We also like to give you a top 5 list, and nobody does top 5 lists better than Tom, right? So what is Tom's top 5 of the week? We still don't have a graphic for this. We need to write that down.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But hey, here we go. The top 5 for this week, again, categories were given to me by Tim, so that was even more fun because then it made it challenging. And this week it is, who are the top 5 most entertaining stables in professional wrestling history?
I like it, yeah.
All right, so when I say that, you're probably going to name a couple of them, but what comes to mind? Let's get the juices going here. Let's get the.
I mean, entertaining. You got to factor in an NWO, right? They held Pro Wrestling World and what's going to happen next lockdown for months on end. That immediately comes to mind.
Okay, all right. Well, here we go. We're going to start 5-1.
It's an easy low hanging fruit.
It might be. We'll see where it ends up. All right. So number 5, I am going with. Evolution is a mystery. Mm-hmm. They were fun. And here's why they were fun. Because if you think about it, Triple H is on top and he's still doing the main event picture, right? Oh, it's him and Goldberg. Oh, it's him and Scott Steiner, right? But what made it entertaining was underneath you had Randy Orton as like the charismatic next one up. He's the Intercontinental Champion. That's when he's starting to really like smell his own shit and think it doesn't stink. And everyone's kind of agreeing with him, right? That was the kind of time where we're like, you're a bad guy, but I think you're kind of cool, right?
Yeah, wasn't he like the most downloadedest dude on the internet or something like that too?
Probably,
at the time?
yeah. But then you also had the meathead and the old man, where it was Batista just power bombing all these motherfuckers, and then Ric Flair just trying to make sure he makes the town because he's knee deep in cocaine and somewhere in Saskatoon. You know what I mean? And so those two were just running around doing.
Here,
their
the cocaine
thing.
is great in Saskatoon.
It probably is
Top shelf.
allegedly. Yeah. And so the reason why I thought they were so entertaining is because they all brought something different. But when they got in the ring together, it didn't look like it was a mismatch of parts. They all fit.
And it fit exactly what it said it was, right? It was like, hey, we're the evolution of the business. It was like all-time great Ric Flair here is the older dude imparting his wisdom on the now main eventer dude, Triple H. And then we got two upstarts, right, coming up. Like, it fit perfectly. The characters fit well. Like, it was done superb. It was one thing that I think they did really well. And I also feel like Evolution was one that didn't run too long either, right?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like they knew when to say this is done.
Yeah, as soon as Orton got there, boom, and then we kind of held on for Batista, and then boom, and then we're all done, right? And then Flair and Triple H can do their thing.
Yeah, we didn't reload with new members. We didn't do any of that.
Nope. All right, here we go. Moving on. Number 4, and this one is purely because of the manager. I am going with the Heenan family. Now, that's not necessarily a come out, and again, in the time period of the Heenan family, walk out to the ring and do a promo to talk about the main event tonight wasn't the format of the show. Correct. However, when Bobby Heenan is in the corner of Haku, Mr. Perfect, Andre the Giant, and all of these other guys, Hercules and stuff like that, he puts a little bit of spice onto each of these rivalries, and that's what made it great. And then when you collectively say, hey, if you fuck with Hercules, Mr. Perfect is right behind him, so you really want to do this, and then you're like, well, shit, as the baby faces. So Heenan with this like Avengers type of army behind him is what made it entertaining, because obviously Bobby the Brain Heenan is the shit. Oh yeah. And the other thing about him is he was a little bit of a shapeshifter with the guys. So, you know, when he's with Andre the Giant, it's a classic suit, you know, it's this guy, right? Like, that's what you think of when it's Andre the Giant. But when he goes with Hercules, he's a little bit toned down. And then when he's with Mr. Perfect, he's in a fucking jumpsuit, you know what I mean? Like catching towels. He's
a little more suave all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And all of a sudden he wants to play tennis and shit. So he's a little bit of a shapeshifter with all the guys too. So that's why I liked him in the 4 spot.
Well, I like that too, because like, again, not maybe your traditional stable either, but at the time they weren't really doing that either. Kind of, you know, what you alluded to with the, you know, format of the show there. But he would sprinkle them in as like, oh, well, while I'm managing this dude that you're wrestling, well, guess what? I also manage this dude, and you know what? He knows where his bread is buttered, and he'll make sure this happens for us because we all make more money, right? So they would come in and help somebody out in the Heenan family, quote unquote, without being, you know, the we ride or die, and wherever you see Bill, you see Steve, right?
Right. Yeah, it has a lot of, you know, right now, if you weren't familiar with the Heenan family, think of what the Don Callis family is right now, where Will Ospreay isn't walking out with Sammy Guevara, but if there's a trios match, they're going to be tagging together.
Don Callis family. God.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
I haven't heard anything back yet.
Yeah, we'll wait on it. All right, now let's keep it moving. Here is top 3. And look, I didn't try to reinvent the wheel here because I felt like it was pretty standard, but the order might surprise you. And again, this is entertaining, not dominant or influential, none of that. So that's why Evolution, or excuse me, not Evolution, but the Shield were fine, but like, I couldn't tell you one promo they ever cut.
I don't remember what they did. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they were cool and they beat people up, but I don't really remember shit about them. So anyhow, here we go. Number 3.
I remember them breaking up.
Yeah,
that's all I remember.
Number 3, I am going with the 4 Horsemen. Yeah. And here's why I can't put them over in the 2 spot. two or one spot, is because it was kind of a one-man show. It was Ric Flair, we're yelling, we're wearing the suits. Everyone kind of followed suit, you know what I mean? But if you go back, there's not a ton of difference between Tully Blanchard and Ric Flair. It's kind of the same person. Now, Arn Anderson brought the like, hey, I'm the hitman kind of thing of the group. And that was cool. And that was really needed. But it was Ric Flair's group.
He is the one that sticks out from the remainders, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's because, his ability to grab a mic like the rest of them couldn't, not named Ric Flair.
Right.
Yes, I agree with you. To me, the Four Horsemen is Ric Flair and the dudes that hung around Ric Flair because Ric Flair needed dudes to stay successful. And while Ric Flair is successful, that trickles down, right? Like, just, that's a story as old as time. So that works. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, if you think about the Four Horsemen and their entire legacy, because unlike Evolution, there was a lot of plug and play, right? Then we got Barry Windham. Then we got Lex Luger. Then we got, then we got Sting for a second. Then, all that stuff.
Mongo. So, your favorite one.
No, Jesus. But what I was going to say is when I think of the Four Horsemen, I honestly just think of Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and then everyone else. Like, it's really a two-man group, and then, everyone else. So that's what I got. I got Four Horsemen coming in at number 3. All right. Now, again, I'm going with entertaining. I must say that again, because when people are like, oh, but do you remember the championship reigns of, Hogan and all that stuff? That's not the point. So number 2, I've got the NWO.
The NWO.
The NWO.
I mean, the New World Order took the world by storm, man.
Right. And especially early on, that was the entertaining stuff, right? They're throwing Rey Mysterio into a damn, TV truck.
Before they started nearing double digits members, like, it was cool. it was entertaining.
Even before that, that hot start where, like I said, they're attacking people and doing stuff and spray painting and all that. But then they got to a point, even before they doubled in numbers, right? When it was that kind of core group of like Nash, Hall, Hogan, Bischoff, Macho Man, like that kind of core group, it was still a little bit of a rinse repeat, right? Oh, well, DDP, guess what? You get beat up. Oh, guess what? Lex Luger, you get beat up. And there wasn't a ton of like, oh, this is so different from 3 weeks ago. It was kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
so
it was a formula. Yeah.
Formula. And that's why I put him in at number 2. Formula worked. Formula was great, but it kind of didn't make it memorable week to week.
Before we move on, Jeffrey Sills referencing the Four Horsemen. He said it was always Flair and Anderson and then swapped the last 2 guys. And that made me think, are the Four Horsemen the Red Hot Chili Peppers of pro wrestling? Because the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you think of those 2 dudes, right? You think of Flea and the fucking Anthony Kiedis, right? And then it's who the fuck, they had like 25 other dudes over the years, right? Like, that's what the Four Horsemen feel like, where you're right. Like, sure, we brand the band, right? But it's these 2 fellas.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly why I can't put them a little bit higher on the list, is because, All right.
Do you include Wolfpack in NWO?
No.
Is it part of the NWO legacy, or is that a separate thing and they're not on the list?
It's part of the NWO legacy, but I don't know. Okay. Here's the other thing too. Because I kicked around this idea a few months ago, especially when I was really going through all this bullshit with my chemo and stuff. I was like, I'm going to start with a week during the Attitude, and I'm going to review ECW, WCW, and WWE. Well,
I was going to suggest we should do that.
Yeah. So I started looking around, I started watching it. Here's the thing, guys and girls. The Wolfpack, super cool. They didn't do shit.
Yeah.
They didn't do a thing. There was nothing.
I don't remember anything they did. Yeah.
Because they didn't do it. It was the fucking coolest song.
They had the chants.
And that was it.
That was it.
That was it. Like,
they
didn't do shit. So it was cool. The music's the best. The music is the best part of the group. And then that's it. All right, let's get to number 1, because we got some Dynamite to talk about. I am going with, and again, it's a chalk pick, but as far as entertaining, it's still funny. I'm going with D-Generation X. You got all of the humor from Triple H and Shawn Michaels and China, just those three, with the European title and laying down so that Triple H could win the European title. The mooning of Sergeant Slaughter.
I love the
taking on Michael Cole.
I love the windshield wipers when Sergeant Slaughter was yelling at them. They wear masks.
Exactly. And then as they evolve and then they get the New Age Outlaws and X-Pac, then you're getting into fun things like that. Because again, from the D-Generation X storyline, birth Kane and X-Pac, which was something fun.
Was getting the ladies in the crowd, like that.
Exactly. And there were so many stupid things where they said they were going to get their dick out and pee on the crowd. That's silly and dumb. And so it made it fun. Look, yes, is that dumb? But if I say, hey, tonight, Triple H is piss on the second row, you're going to at least go like, well, how are they going to get out of this?
I got to see this. Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do here. So that's why they had so many of these moments that obviously invading WCW is kind of their signature moment, but there were so many things that you can go and say, that was good. This is good. I can watch this as a standalone segment in 2023, and it's still at least entertaining. The things that some of the other groups did, kind of rinse repeat. So that's why I'm putting DX at number 1.
God, I love it. Great, solid list. You are good at the list. I know every time you're like, let's make a list. I'm like, I suck at the list.
I love lists.
I can't do it, but you love the list.
I told you, if there was a channel of lists, I would watch it 24/7. I don't even care what it is. Best hair metal. I don't like hair metal, but I'm going to watch it. Best cheese on a burger. I'm going to watch it. I don't fucking care. I just love lists. I've always loved lists.
Let's start a list channel.
I will.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Tim and Tom rank everything. There we go.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll workshop the name. Maybe we'll come up with a list of names. All right, so AEW Dynamite happened last night. I'm excited to talk about it because that means we're going to talk about some things that happened at AEW WrestleDream and the weeks leading prior while I was out on vacation. Tom was handling some medical things. Tom, exciting times right now. There's a couple big stories that maybe we should address here. Talent in this day and age now have options. And we've got a Jade Cargill going to WWE, and we've got an Adam Copeland going to AEW. So these are big names here, right? Like Jade Cargill, one of the biggest up-and-coming names, probably period, in pro wrestling, and Adam Copeland, one of the biggest names in the history of pro wrestling, making a jump here. Interesting times.
Yeah, and this is me just because if you've listened long enough, I don't trust anything WWE does. I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I think a lot of you people that watch WWE are doing it for muscle memory and because it makes you feel like you're a kid again and you're safe and you don't have to deal with the anxiety of work and all that bullshit. It is,
but hey, whatever.
Yeah, a lot of it's that because a lot of it fucking sucks. With that being said, with this kind of one person goes here, one person goes there, I have more faith, especially after we talk about Dynamite, that Edge, let's just say it's Edge going to AEW is the better of the two. Because I fear that, look, and Jade in 5 years after Edge is retired is going to be like, hopefully a top name. And so then they've won the trade or whatever we're going to call it, right? The swap. But I just fear that, what is it? October 5th right now. Let's say she debuts at Survivor Series as a mystery partner for a Survivor Series tag team, right? She's hot for November into WrestleMania. Let's just say she beats Bayley at WrestleMania. Yeah. And then I swear, and then she becomes every other girl. What's Bianca Belair doing? Tell me what she's doing right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't. And you know what? Jeffrey still says, I think Jade will be a star in the Fed. And I agree. She's absolutely going to be.
I don't. See, that's what I'm saying. I think, so here's what a star is to me. A star is you put them on the poster. I'm paying a ticket to go see that person. MJF, Roman Reigns. You could say Cornball Cody. I think Jade Cargill, unfortunately, is not going to be a Becky Lynch or a Charlotte Flair. It's going to be...
Oh, really?
I think she's just going to be a rotational person. It's, hey, you're in there with Io Sky tonight. Hey, guess what? We're going to transition you into a new rivalry with Zelina. And it's just going to be rinse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think what she'll get is she'll get on those levels, right? They're going to put her in these big time matches. We'll be like, oh my God, she was at WrestleMania facing this person or whatever, right? Because kind of what you said, she has probably the most impressive physique in pro wrestling period right now, right? So that's going to go over like Rover, as they say, on the toys and the posters and all of that. And that's great. And if that's what she wants, that's 100%. I'm going to think it's boring as shit. We've seen how they write stories for this. There's no story for this. So I'm going to not like it. I don't understand, like you've said, why a bunch of people do. People love this Cody Rhodes, I guess. I don't know what the fuck he is. I feel like all he does is come out and go like, so what do you want to talk about? And I don't feel like I don't know what it is. That's what I feel like we're going to get here. We're going to get her coming out going like, I'm the best.
Yeah. So,
so
here's the thing. Yeah, with her I don't give a fuck. Personally, good move, whatever. If you got paid twice as much than AEW and that's what you're doing, fine. But I'm only talking about from me. I don't think
look, if it gets you like, even if the thought is, hey, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be on the Dancing with the Stars and the movies and the whatever, like you're probably better off there if that's what you're after too, you know?
Right. But with Jade Cargill, another thing that I think is not going to work in her advantage is, look, as I said, she is a very physically impressive person. Like off the charts. Look at that. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't look as impressive though when Rhea Ripley has a fucking shoulder that's the size of the Grand Canyon, and then you got Raquel Rodriguez with a back that can carry a house, and then you're like, but I got muscles. When you're over there in AEW and you got Sky Blue, who looks like she just got done at Hot Topic, and you stand next to that girl, well, fuck, now you look like the shit. So I think there's also going to be a little bit of that, hey, she's buff and stuff, but then when she stands next to Rhea and Rhea's
brings
like,
it down a notch.
I can palm your face, and then she's like, okay, well, what the fuck do I do now?
Rhea's a very unique analogy too, because like, they've got people that are more rocked out than Rhea too, and like Jade Cargill will be rocked out, but like if you stood Rhea Ripley next to Jade Cargill, you'd be like, oh, I'm taking Rhea Ripley. Like she looks like I will rip you in half and eat your insides. Yeah.
So I think some of the sizzle, because again, and no offense to the women at AEW, but the women in AEW are more traditional looking.
Yes.
There's not a physically impressive feat about most of them. A Britt Baker is what I'm talking about. Britt Baker is a very beautiful woman, but there's no like, did you see her biceps? You know what I mean? It's
you don't think like world-class athlete when you see her.
Right, exactly. So when she's over in AEW, she looks like the shit. When she's standing next to Bianca Belair, maybe not. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I think it's a good move too, because I feel like we did everything in AEW, and it would have had to gone to the world title thing. And then how do you top a undefeated streak for a title? So in all honesty, this is probably a better move. I'm very interested in the Adam Copeland Edge comes to AEW and what we're going to get out of that. We're going to talk more about that with AEW Dynamite, obviously, because they leaned right into it, and they've said from all accounts that this guy is like, he's not doing the part-timer, I'm doing 12 matches this year. He's like, I'm here every week. I came to wrestle, and in fact, that's why he has said like he kind of wanted to leave WWE, because they're on we're pushing the young, the 20-year-olds, you know what I mean, like the hard bodies. And Edge was like, I want to do stories, and they were like, nah, that's not what we do here. And so that's why he came here. And so
they're full of shit. I know what he said, and I read it, and I think he believes it, and I think they told him that, and he thinks that that is true. They are full of shit. In about 3 months, we're going to get all the fucking old timers. Watch out for Goldberg in Saudi Arabia and The Rock at WrestleMania. They fucking
but he's not one of those old timers. He's an interesting.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I think they told him, hey, why don't you just kick rocks? Because he ain't The Rock. Like, he's an all-time name, but he ain't The Rock. And so
here's what, like, and I'll even say he's a shade below this, but to me, of the time he came up, and he's kind of the Piper mode, and he's even a shade below how we look back at Piper, right? Like, but he was kind of that where, like, he was there the whole time, right? For the whole boom, but he was Cena's guy that he had to fight, right? Or he was, you know what I mean? He was mixed in with the Randy Orton and the whatever, right? And so, like, yes, Edge is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was the most decorated superstar when he had to retire at the time of all that. And if you talk to people who maybe are, you know, mainstream fans who fell out of love, but they know the name Edge because they were like, oh, I loved Cena, I loved Orton, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So they remember that. That's why I kind of think of Piper in that mode, because we think of Hogan, right? We think of that, and then we're like, but he had to fight somebody, right? And it was usually Edge. And that's where I think, like, yes, he's that level, but he's not the let's put him on the Mania thing and he's going to draw everybody who stopped watching. Yep.
That's why I think they told him youth movement, but really they said, nah, not worth the money. So anyhow, that's my thoughts on that. Shall we get started?
I'm excited. Let's do it. Let's do it.
A Dynaversary, you could call it, because it was their 4-year anniversary.
Years. Man.
Dynamite anniversary. A Dynaversary. That was on my birthday. They debuted on my birthday 4 years ago.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
I do too, because it was my birthday. All right, let's kick it off. Wasn't
there something else about your birthday with like your wife or something? Like there was something where like you remembered, or maybe it was your first date anniversary or something, because it was a fight. There was an MMA fight or something.
My first, the Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz was the first date. We didn't watch the fight, but that's how I know that's the first date, is because I can look at Conor versus Nate 1. Like, oh, that's our first date. Yeah, cool. Yeah. That's what you do, guys. You find something that you know. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So we kicked off AEW Dynamite a little bit awkward, because typically they'll start with Justin Roberts or they'll start with a promo in ring. However, we go backstage and it's Renee Paquette talking to Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, and they're just kind of doing we're ready to fight the Don Callis family. And then here's Adam Copeland standing there going, hey man, look at all these Canadians. And Chris Jericho and him obviously have a hey. And even Edge, I'm just going to call him Edge. Even Edge reference, hey, I still hate Don Callis, referencing like I've known this guy before, all that stuff. So I like that he was like, no, this guy does suck, so I'm with you guys on this. But then the moment of the segment was Kenny Omega and Edge meet. Finally, two great Canadian wrestlers shaking hands here. And I thought that was fine, but it was awkward. I felt like this was a weird way to start the show. And I felt like the way they ended it kind of trailed off, and Kenny Omega kind of was just like,
yeah, I get the idea of, hey, we got to lead into Edge, right? Not Edge is here, right? And I get that, right? So you want to hit it quick. And here's the thing, like, oh, it's all Canada, right? Like, let's all bask in that. But I agree. It just felt kind of, why did we do that? Was kind of was what I was left with.
Yeah.
Like, why are we here? Did you notice Kenny Omega mentioning that he had him on the edge of his seat? As he kind of hit the edge a little hard there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and someone already made a meme of it or a video compilation where way back when they debuted Rampage, and remember it was Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega for the Impact Championship, and the promo leading into that, Kenny Omega gets in Christian Cage's face and goes, "You think you know me?" Like, so he's been doing that kind of stuff for a while. Yeah. But here's how I would have done it. Again, just me thinking out loud. I would have stole from Collision and started it with the promo. Like, when you watch AEW Collision, it starts with a Saturday, not doing the Saturday night, it's all right for fight, but it's a tonight.
Just face them up.
Yeah. I would have just had Edge stand there and go, tonight, I'm going to say my mission statement. I'm ready to kick some, whatever it is, right? And then they go, but it was just
tonight is all about me, bitch. Like, let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah. But we get, let's go back. So we get back into the ring, and then we get back to some traditional AEW fun, kicking it back to
Jeffrey Sill said so much maple syrup. That's a good way to describe a Canadian overload. Yeah. Anyway.
So we get the International Championship match between champion Rey Fenix and challenger Nick Jackson, which is obviously a callback to one of the best matches in Dynamite history in year 1. And boy, I tell you what, anytime Lucha Bros and Young Bucks, any combination, they wrestle, they know each other about as well as any two teams I've ever seen.
Yes, it made more sense because I remember the previous week's show, and I was thinking, like, why is Nick Jackson in this match? And, like, why is he winning it? And now, like, of course, it's the anniversary, and that was a big match. Man. Look, I said this to you offline. I never care about what the wrestlers are wearing, but this velvet pajama, California bottoms, the fucking Young Buck 2 was rocking, wasn't it, man? I was out for that reason alone. I was like, I can't get into this, but it was decent. It was fine. And I like Rey Fenix as the AEW international champion. We didn't touch on that while we were gone. Moxley beating Orange Cassidy after having it for so long.
Yep.
It was like, oh my God, well now who could beat Moxley? I'm glad that they kind of got that over quick, right? Like we didn't run it back with that. Moxley got, and now it's Phoenix. I like that.
Well, next Tuesday though, we'll talk about the Tuesday card because we're running that match back. But Ray Phoenix defeats Nick Jackson. Again, a very fun match. The only thing that is hard for me to get into with these types of matches is unless the story is developed, I'm never going to buy in that Nick or Matt Jackson are going to have a singles championship. They're always going to either be the tag team champions or not champions at all, or 6-man. You know what I mean? Like they're the 6-man ROH champion with Hangman. They're never going to, unless they start to tell the story that like Nick Jackson says, before my career is done, I want to be heavyweight champion, right? Something like that. But if they're not telling that story, I just know like, oh, he'll lose. And when I kind of don't care or know the finish, the match is fine, but I'm kind of in and out. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
fun way to kick it off, especially for an anniversary show, 2 of the originals. But
Jeffrey Sills says it's bear skin in the back. I think he's talking about the brown dookie velvet pants that Jackson was wearing there.
Neat. Pants. I don't know.
I guess at least he's wearing pants. At least we got that.
Yeah, he's better than Orton. I tell you what, though. Never mind.
Sure, the dude's got chicken legs. Probably.
Well, I was gonna shame him a little bit because I told you he needs to lose a hair match. We just need to get rid of that thing because boy,
I think that's an amazing thing because if he lost a hair match by himself. And then Matt Jackson's there, right? And like he's got to shave his head, and he's like looking at his brother, and his brother's like, "I mean, I ain't fucking."
Yeah, it was a one-on-one match.
Man, mine's fine. That would be so good.
What do you think about this idea? We haven't talked. See, I haven't had anyone to bounce ideas off of, so you're going to get a lot of ideas tonight.
Okay, this is great.
Think about this. Don Callis gets his influence more and more into AEW. The tentacles of AEW run through Don Callis. His family is essentially taking over everything.
Hire Tom. I love this idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So he's starting to get more and more feeling himself and bigger chest and all of that stuff.
The Bischoff disease.
Yeah. And so the EVPs kind of kick back up and like, oh, you think you're going to take this company away from me? And so the Young Bucks get in Don Callis's face through different means of promos and things like that. Don Callis makes a hair versus hair match, Matt Jackson versus Nick Jackson. And then that's how you fucking make Nick Jackson shave his head, and Matt Jackson has to do it. He's like crying. He's like, and he's like shaving his fucking head. And Don Callis is just up on the stage, just laughing with Will Ospreay.
I feel like they would do this too. I feel like they would be game for this. Yeah.
They should 1,000,000% do that. That's what I thought would be fun. So anyhow.
Yes. He evil-heartedly lords over Matt Jackson, begrudgingly shaving Nick Jackson's head.
Yeah, and Matt is crying. I know how long it took you to grow this out.
Because it's that or it's their livelihood, right? Like, can't afford your fucking family, you know?
Exactly. Yep. That's what I would do. That would be fun. All right, let's keep it moving. After this, we get...
It's the best idea you've had in the history of this show. We can't glance over that. That was amazing.
That'd be fun. All right, so then we get some bullshit. And I thought it was AEW's
God
fault.
damn, I've missed this show. All right, 3 weeks went by and I was like, show. I was like, is anybody still going to care? I don't give a shit if anybody cares. I have a blast doing this.
Yeah, this is fun. Yeah.
So we got some bullshit.
We got some bullshit because, in the history of AEW, again, on the Dynaversary, one thing's always going to fuck up, and it's their production. However, Tony Khan was really quick to mention on Twitter, TBS fucked this up. And so they ran this segment of Adam Cole visiting Roderick Strong in the Kingdom, but nobody heard. Nobody
heard it.
So I guess here's my question to you. Is apparently that was a TBS mess up. The previous week when we kept hearing those things, that was also a TBS mess up.
Yep.
So if I'm presenting to you, you are Tony Khan, right? Tim, you are, running AEW. Do you say, hey, our partnership with Turner is very valuable, so we're going to kind of ride the ship and hope that things work out? Or do you go, hey, I need to fucking make sure this doesn't make me look bad. So I'm going to take ownership of this. TBS, you just turn the feed on. I'll take care of everything else. What would you do? In that situation?
Well, both are done, right? I think we know enough from radio and television that like you can do it either way, right? Like I can set up my own. I can have a mobile truck that you basically just open a fucking feed to, right? The one thing I would caution that is, does he know how to do that, right? Like he's got to hire the folks that do that. Now, he can tap into Daddy and this NFL crews. Right. So I'm sure that can be done. Or he can lean on and say like, what the fuck are you doing, guys? I need to introduce you to some better talent or what? Right. Yeah.
Well, and because that's the thing, because, if he doesn't make that announcement, that tweet or whatever it was, we say AEW fucking sucks, right? And we've said that.
It again. And how many times have we said it when maybe it wasn't their fault now?
And that's what I'm saying is like, at some point you have to say, I don't want this product to be represented that way. But if you do, you might, contract time comes up and TBS goes like,
what we don't know,
these fucking guys.
Yeah, does Warner Brothers love AEW so much that they're overpaying, right? Well, another place be like, man. Yeah, I see the numbers.
Or does Warner Brothers go, man, well, you don't want to put that much effort into making you guys look any better. So if it's that good and we're not getting the stuff, then we're out. Could happen.
Well, yeah, it's one of those like, hey, listen, we like the numbers now, but if we have to put more money into it, we don't like the numbers as much.
Exactly. Yep.
So then that's where you say, okay, same money, but I'm taking over production. But then, production's not cheap.
It ain't. But let's talk about the segment here. Yeah. So Adam Cole goes to visit Roderick Strong and the Kingdom. And this was fun. So Adam Cole gets a scooter from Roderick Strong because Roderick Strong can't be the only one in wheels. Fine. They race around. That's fun. Yeah. But then the Kingdom and Roderick Strong ask Adam Cole to move furniture, which I thought was like, okay, but it was fine. But the comedic value of MJF was missing, right? So the skits that Adam Cole has been a part of, 90% of all of those skits, Adam Cole is the straight man, right? MJF is the one that leaves with 5 women and comes back and, all that stuff, where Adam Cole is the, hey, I can't do that because Britt Baker is my girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
But when MJF is missing out of that equation, it kind of felt like, well, this is fine.
So,
it didn't hit home run.
So now is this style of segment, vignette, if you will, is that tied to Adam Cole and not MJF Adam Cole? Like is that what we get out of Adam Cole and his buddies, whomever those buddies may be moving forward? Because you're right, it didn't hit quite the same. And the payoff here, like it felt like, well, you guys ran out of time batting around ideas to come up with he asked you to move some furniture even though the other guys are able-bodied, right? Like that felt weird. It wasn't a trap. It wasn't a...
Well, and even like, he can move furniture. Like, that's fine. Like, yeah. I don't, was it that much of a hardship? You know what I mean?
Well, Jeffrey says, why is Roddy in a wheelchair when it's his neck that's hurt? I mean, that's great though.
Well, that just makes him fun, right? That's the fun part of this stupid character.
Hey, yeah, and pause. Is somebody listening? Because you said Neck Strong weeks before they started running with the shirts and the branded material.
It's fun, yeah. I mean, Neck Strong. I probably heard it, but it was fun. Yeah,
we are of the community, right? Like
we are of the
people.
Community.
Yeah.
All right, so let's keep it moving. So we get that segment, and Adam Cole leaves, and Roderick Strong kind of just gives him a little bit of a guilt trip, and then that's it. And then we go back into the ring. Griff Garrison's out there, and he's walking around.
The Griff guy.
Yeah, and Wardlow comes out. And what'd you think? Wardlow's out. He's out
Bulking
here.
Wardlow, not the body shame again. Like this is interesting. If we're going away from whatever Wardlow was, I'm fine with that. I'm hoping right now this is a slow play to getting a different kind of Wardlow, and we saw a little flash of it tonight. But if absent of that, this felt weird and out of place.
It was a loud reaction, so credit for getting the reaction that they probably were wanting to get. So credits for that. However, again, this is a TV show that's based off of aesthetics. I'm not trying to say that he needs to get on a diet and all this stuff. None of that, right? But his hair was as dry as mine. It wasn't lined up. He kind of was undefined in his chest and his sternum. His arms were big, but not necessarily cut or, defined like a Jade Cargill. And then he just did the same power bomb thing. Now, the part that I will say that was interesting that I hope they can kind of run with is he dispatches of Griff Garrison, right? 16 power bombs or whatever it is. There's no pin. The ref is just like, Jesus Christ, we're done
Just
here.
Stop. Yeah, you killed him.
And then he just gets out and he goes back. Have you ever seen the movie Warrior with Tom Hardy?
Yeah. No.
That if Tom Hardy was an MMA fighter, but he never got an introduction. He just went in, he knocked the guy out. He never did post fight interviews. He just walked out. If you make Wardlow kind of in that realm until we heat him up with something or get him a better look, I'm into it, but that was underwhelming.
I don't know what this was. We've never viewed Wardlow as the monster. I know they've portrayed him as like
big enough.
Yeah, that's the deal.
And
Like they've portrayed him as like the muscle.
Yeah.
But we've never viewed him as that.
Because look, Taz is one of my all-time favorites. Top 5 all-time favorites. I love Taz. Taz is 5'7" and 180 pounds, but he's throwing Bam Bam Bigelow around. That's the difference. Wardlow isn't throwing around Keith Lee. Wardlow isn't picking up Satnam Singh. Wardlow is doing fucking swantons like Jeff Hardy. Like, it's not a
which is weird because like that's all easy to pull off, right? Like Wardlow could power bomb these guys and we'd be like, oh my God, Wardlow's the strongest dude in the nation.
Yeah.
But no, they're like, no, Wardlow's just Wardlow.
Yeah.
He power bombs regular dudes.
And he does small guy moves. He does swantons. Yeah. He does, these athletic moves, but that's not the big guy move, So, and also look, let's just be legit, like cutting through kayfabe. He's not, right? Cesaro or Claudio. Claudio is stronger than him. Keith Lee is stronger than him. Powerhouse Hobbs is stronger than
Cage.
him. Brian Cage is probably stronger than, so that's the other thing that sucks is like, you also can't even go on that part because we know. So anyhow, Wardlow leaves out of the ring. That happened. Then again, we get the Adam Cole segment because the sound fucked up. So that was a really great first half hour of the show. Just you're doing a make good because your sound sucks so bad, but it happened. What happens next? Oh, here we go. We got a title match, trios title. It is Billy Gunn and the Acclaim versus Kip Sabian, Butcher, and the Blade. Tim, how you feeling about the Acclaimed?
It feels like we're running it back some, right? Just kind of, we're still doing the shtick. When I said, hey, this is going to hit a point where we need something new, right? Like we need something new, at least with the New Day for a long time. They kept coming up with something new, right? Like it was unicorns and then it was pancakes and then it was trombones and then they ran out of ideas.
Right.
I'm a little worried about the Acclaim that like scissoring was fun, but like, I don't know that people are still like itching to do that. I don't know if we're going to be at AEW Dynamite next week on Tuesday Night Dynamite. I don't know that a whole bunch of people are going to be out trying to scissor us.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Mr. Fourth Row, we got fourth row seats, so shout out.
We're trying. We're trying to be as iconic as the fourth row.
I agree. Here's my problem though with the Acclaimed is, he came out, Max Caster that is, and his rhyme was very generic. The times that Max Caster has the best rhymes is when he can dig into something. Hey, Samoa Joe was the champion of that show and we're beating him in the ratings. Oh, right. Like it's something. They don't have anyone, right? Like the House of Black, I guess just went away, which is fine, whatever. But like Kip Sabian, Butcher, and the Blade are not a reputable team to beat them for the Trios Championship. So they're kind of in this neutral state where the way they can hit is if they have a rival, and they just don't have that, right? Even back when they were going up against Team TNA and Max Caster is making Kurt Angle jabs, you had something to be like, dude, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
But now it's just topical news. Hometown is great. Next, right? Now, let's put a pin in that. So obviously the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn win, but let's put a pin in that because we see the Acclaimed a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, we do.
and I got some.
Yeah, I got a lot to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so yeah, the Acclaim beat Kip Sabian, Butcher, and the Blade, and then we get it, Tim. We get a brush with greatness. Some could say it was timeless. We get an interview with timeless Tony Storm, done by RJ City, and she is a fucking wackadoodle. She is driving the Weirdsmobile right into the ocean. And I fucking love it. Like, this is awesome.
Oh, and this couldn't have been done. I know all of these interviews with her have been done with Renee, but this had to be RJ City, right? Like, there couldn't have been anybody to pull this off any better. This couldn't have been Marvez or whatever the fuck his name is, right? It couldn't have been nobody but RJ City. And he hit it out the park. Like, he set it right on the tee for her, and she just ran with it. And I had the biggest smile. I text you immediately. I was like, she's fucking killing it. Like, this is amazing. This is good
It's
stuff.
the best. Yeah, we'll talk about her match that happens a little bit later on in the show. But these vignettes, the thing that I think is a little bit misguided, if I could give them a little bit of advice. They said it was the last one. Don't. We need a couple more. People just now got their teeth into it. So you can't end it. You got to give us 2 or 3 more. Now, don't do the New Day and then keep doing all this bullshit.
Yeah,
but
but
we still need a little bit more of the timeless with RJ City. Because like you said, RJ City sets the table for this classic 1920s, starlet, and he's the vibe that
Jeffrey
does that well.
Sills says I'm in love with her. Like, he says I'm in love with her. Yeah, we need a little more Tony Storm before we stop the vignettes.
Definitely. All right, so we get the vignette, and then we're told again later on in the night we will get Timeless, the debut of Timeless Tony Storm. And then we get a couple highlight packages. Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. talk about their match. I do like that, it's supposed to be best technical wrestler, but Bryan Danielson beat him with a running knee. But I like how Zack Sabre Jr. goes, that's a scoundrel move. That's a scoundrel move.
Yeah, it is. Scoundrel.
What kind of fucking 101 Dalmatians bullshit kind of ass time? That's a scoundrel move.
Scoundrel. It can only best be described as you being a scoundrel.
Oh my God. Yeah. He sounded straight out of a fucking Muppets Christmas.
Yeah. That's what they do over there.
Yeah. And then we get Hangman talking about going back to the drawing board because he lost to Swerve Strickland. Another really good match where a little bit roles reversed, but they didn't go all the way into it. And then we get MJF and Jay White, and we're talking about how at the end of last week's episode, Jay White was jumped and we saw the devil mask. Now, we go back to present day, current time, and the Bullet Club Gold, the gangbangers, they come out without Jay White, and they're just gang banging it up. They're gang bang, whoop,
banging the whole gang.
Bang this gang, this gang. They're just loving it. And they're talking shit on MJF. And they're like, hey, MJF, you suck. Come out here and do something about it.
I love where they shit on his promo, too. They were like, he's supposed to be the dude and fucking tofu. Like, hey.
And look, I will say something about this. MJF hits grand slams. This one, kind of a single. It wasn't great.
Right. That's what I was like, they got him there.
I like the idea of what he's saying, where Jay White is just flavor of the month. You put him there, and that's it.
It's only good when you add something else to it, right? Like, which I'm like, hey, that was very accurate. Very great.
But the tofu
just didn't
hit. Yeah. So MJF comes out, and he's like, hey, you pieces of shit. And he's basically talking them down. And he's like, why would you think that I would not own up to beating up Jay White with a group of guys? He's like, I own up to all this stuff. I did this to Chris Jericho. I did this to Cody Rhodes. Like, I don't fucking have to lie. I'm the devil. And we all know that, right?
Even when he did the devil thing, he did it pretty quickly. Like, it was that night, right? That he was just like, fuck you. Yeah.
That's me, right? That's me. Hey, so he has a point. And Bullet Club Gold is like, no, we still don't believe you. Come fight us. You're a bitch. And so then they get in there. MJF did try to call him. I wrote it down here. What did he try to call?
Oh, something talentless taint.
Yeah, and Rockhard was like, my taint is so hard.
Yeah.
It's rock hard. he's like touching his taint. He's like,
He's
it's
gonna
rock
come
hard.
out, being able to use taint for the rest of his career, probably because of that.
Yeah. So he gets so then MJF walks down to the ring. He, undresses to get ready for a fight. And before he can fight him, they power out of the ring and he's attacked by Jay White. And Jay White hits the Blade Runner, takes the belt and says, see ya, Full Gear, bitch, because we're wrestling then. And MJF says, fine, book it, you bitch. And that's the segment. So we didn't talk about it, but the previous week, Jay White and MJF have this little stare down promo battle. But then, as mentioned, at the end of the night, Jay White is jumped by a group of individuals, one of which is wearing the devil mask and then takes the camera down. So, Tim, gut reaction time. Who are those people?
I think it's his own group is my gut reaction right now. I think he's going to be ousted. The Bang Bang Gang will continue with Rock Hard kind of leading the two dudes and maybe somebody else that they pick up or something, right? But that's my gut reaction. I think it's going to be the swerve that we're not trying to think of, right? I thought for a while maybe it's Adam Cole, right? Maybe, but he's hobbling around. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's the King. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the Kingdom, right? Like, hey, listen, same thing that MJF said. Like, look, he's your boy. I don't get it, but fine, right? If he's got a beef, we got a beef. Fuck him. Right. So maybe, but no, I think what we're going to in turn reveal was the Bang Bang Gang and he's no longer the leader.
Ooh, an inside job.
Yeah.
Jay White's out. I don't really know. So when it happened initially, I had two different thoughts. One, yeah, it's Adam Cole in the Kingdom because it was very convenient that Adam Cole leaves and Jay White comes. And they just never bumped into each other, and Adam Cole's fine with it, right? And as MJF said, hey, if that's your friend, I'm okay with it. Kind of saying he's a fucking generic, but I'll be fine with him, right? And so Adam Cole could be that bridge that says, let's take MJF and the Kingdom, put them all together, right?
Right.
There's also the thought that it's someone completely unrelated to MJF and all of this.
Not at all, yeah.
Because what I could easily see is we're doing this match in November. So we're going to lead up all to this stuff. We're going to get to the big finish of the Jay White MJF match. And I only know this because, again, I saw it on social media, but there's another Bullet Club group out there and I forget their name, probably, gaggers and gangbangers. I don't know what the fuck they're called, but it's them, right? It's the David Finlay and all those. And then we get Collision can be the Bullet Club.
It's going to be the fucking
Civil
motorcycle
War
gang guys. Fucking Anderson fucking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's after MJF, then they can spawn into Collision with Jay White and the other.
Or
clubbers.
It's CM Punk.
Here's my thought.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll jump a little bit ahead because this is my thought after it happened.
Ooh, it's Jeff Jarrett and Satnam Singh. That's what Jeffrey Sills thinks.
I think it could be the Acclaimed. Wasn't it interesting how MJF is like, man, he's like aggressively like all about me. And Max Caster is like, hey, buddy. And, obviously, if you fall.
Which was weird. That was creepy and rapey.
If you look at social media, he's always saying that my boyfriend this, all that.
Oh, he is. But it was interesting that they threw that in there now because, if you're not following the social media, you don't know that. And the Acclaimed is everybody's they're the oddities, right? Like everybody's loving, having a clap fest. And now he's kind of rapey. I thought that was a real weird switch all of a sudden. I was like, whoa, right? And he kind of was like, like understood that he didn't like it, but still fucked with him anyway. It was interesting.
Yeah. So I think possibly those individuals was Billy Gunn and the Acclaim because
I don't think any of them was Billy Gunn because they didn't make suits that size, but maybe
I would have to I would have to look again. I don't even know if it was more than 3 people. I don't really remember the number.
But we could say it was whoever, regardless of who it actually was.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. But that's my hunch now is it could be the Acclaimed. So put a pin in that. We'll find out.
Oh, somebody said Jeffrey still says it was 5 guys, not 3. So there was 5 guys.
Oh, okay. Well then maybe I'm wrong. Well, maybe it's the Acclaimed and 2 others. I don't know. I'm kidding. Maybe it's the Acclaimed and MJF and I don't know, someone else. But regardless, that was my hunches after that little segment. The Acclaimed.
I'm surprised we didn't get more
something.
payoff there. I'm a
well,
little
we're getting something. We're going to either get on Collision, Acclaim, Billy Gunn, and MJF versus Bullet Club Gold or something. We're going to do something like that in a couple weeks for sure. Easy. See it happening as soon as possible. Okay, so we get the MJF gets beat up, and now they got the match at the November pay-per-view. And then we go backstage, and Hook and Orange Cassidy are standing there, and they're eating some chips.
Love that.
And the thing that I loved about Orange Cassidy is he kind of showed a little bit of like disgruntledness with AEW because he goes, so yeah, Tuesday, it's going to be Moxley versus Ray Phoenix. I had the belt for 11 months. He had it for 3 weeks, but I guess he gets the rematch.
Whatever. Yeah.
Cool. And Hook is like, being Hook in no other kind of terms, but is like, yeah, that's fucked up, in a Hook way, right? Eating a chip, like, I don't think you should take that. And that's how it ended. It was kind of open-ended. There was no like Renee Paquette didn't say like, so what's next or anything like that. It was just words into the abyss.
Orange Cassidy into a heel? Can we get him disgruntled and take somebody
Hell yes. Oh my God. Orange Cassidy heel. I would love to just come up with so many things because you could easily do the Orange. If you don't wrestle tonight, then we're going to fire you. Cool. I'll lay down. No, God, we can't have you just quit. Well, then what do you want? Like just have them being that the entire time or just like walking in the middle of a tag team match, right? So like there's a hot tag and all that, and he just gets in the ring and he's just kind of like, just being an aloof, disgruntled asshole. I would love it. Love it. But we'll see what happens.
Jeffrey Sill says, I think it was Bullet Club Gold and Adam Cole under the devil mask. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like Jay White gets the boot and Adam Cole Bay now runs the Bang Bang.
God,
game.
that would suck. That would suck because Jay White isn't good enough. Jay White isn't good enough. He's just like, again,
he's great as leading the Bang Bang gang, but like being the guy that we're sympathetic about the Bang Bang gang fighting him, I don't give a shit.
He is great being like MJF told a lot of truths in that promo that they did the previous week, but Jay White is definitely the recipient of being propped up by others, right? Jay White has had fine matches in AEW. I've never seen any of his New Japan Pro Wrestling matches. I don't want to, right? So all I know is is AEW matches. They've all been fine, but he has Rock Hard and he has the Guns and he has commentary fucking telling us Jay White's a top guy. Jay White's a top guy. Jay White's a top guy. And I'm just like, okay, but that's what I'm saying. If he leaves Bullet Club Gold now, there ain't no one talking for him and anyone can say they're the best. And that just falls on deaf ears. So I hope it's not that because then his fucking career might be done in AEW. He might be Lance Archer in 6 months.
That's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Which speaking of Lance Archer, Archer.
Yeah.
It's that guy. Okay, let's get into a tag team match. It is Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, which they think is really hitting, but I don't think is, versus Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita. And we have a match.
That Don Callis interview earlier when he was describing that match was going to happen was weird too. Like that one fell flat. This fell flat. He also said, I got somebody the same size as Takeshita, which Kyle Fletcher is not the same size. He might be the same height, but definitely not the same size as Takeshita.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the match happens. Apparently, breaking kayfabe, Sammy Guevara legitimately got a concussion at WrestleDream. So it was going to be Sammy. So it wasn't. So anyhow. But this match happens, and it kind of paint by numbers, right? Jericho and Kenny are obviously the better, but then Takeshita can kind of cut you off here and there. And it ends with Omega getting the one-winged angel, pinning Kyle Fletcher, which Don Callis says, well, that motherfucker's out because he sucks. Instantly kicks him out of what could have been in the family of Don Callis. And Jericho and Kenny Omega are like, yeah, this is fun. And then what the flying fuck? Powerhouse Hobbs just says meat and just fucking meats everywhere. Just meat.
everywhere for a long time, an uncomfortable amount of time. He meted this guy all over the place.
Him ever. Took a chair to Jericho's head, an unprotected chair shot from Don Callis to Kenny Omega. Kenny, here's the thing that I want to tell you, pal. Thanks for listening. First off, really love the support. Second, though, it's been less than 6 months, and I've seen you get hit in the head really fucking hard at least twice. So maybe we like you, pal.
I will say this about the Don Callis family. As much as I love Don Callis, and he's a criminal mastermind, as we're led to believe here, Sammy Guevara lost the match, and then he turns on Chris Jericho. The Don Callis team loses the match, and then Powerhouse Hobbs comes out and beats them up. If you already had a plan to do the double turn and the backstab, do it before the match ends. What are you doing? Yeah. Why are we doing this twice now?
Yeah, get the wins.
It hits more if you cheat to win, and now we're like, oh, you devious bastard. But like, if they won and then you attacked them afterwards, well, what does that matter?
Cool. Right, yeah. We'll see the match next week. We were going to see it probably anyhow.
Yeah. Like fucking, yeah.
But so now we have Powerhouse Hobbs in the Don Callis family. How do you feel about that?
I like the meat, right? Like, I like that we've got some meat now. I know Takeshita's a big dude, as we were just talking about, but like, you know, this is more the meat presentation. So yeah, like he's got an enforcer now. We got to slow down, right? We can't just all of a sudden he's got 14 dudes, right? But I think we've got a couple now. This will be fine. But we've got to get, you know, a reason, right? Like I've got to care about why Don Callis is trying to do here now.
Well, I got to care why Powerhouse Hobbs would team with him, right? Because he just got out of a partnership with Cutie Marshall and hated that and had to be on his own.
Yeah, why would you think just ran right into Don Callis has more money or something? Like, why?
Right, yeah. Why? So I need to hear why he would team with Don Callis. Also, why, you know, Chris Jericho was in his sights to start with, right? And then to your point, we have Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, Powerhouse Hobbs. Adjacent is Will Ospreay because he's not a full-time guy, but he's still there, right?
Yeah.
So we got 4 guys, which is okay, but very similar to like when I was mentioning the Heenan family. It was Heenan going after baby faces. It just happened to be that Hercules is behind him this time, right?
Right. Which is how it's felt with Takeshita and
and Don Callis, right? But now we're getting to like characters who would never, like Sammy Guevara, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Takeshita do not ride together. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so we're gonna have to get like
no way in hell Powerhouse Hobbs even likes to be in the same room as Sammy Guevara.
Right. So we got to get a mission statement. We got to get a mission statement from them that says the reason is this, and we're gonna take out them. Right. So I like it on paper. We need to, and Don Callis can do
potential.
It, right?
Yeah, it's got potential. And Don Callis, if he's the star, can't do that terrible. But I'm interested to see how they tie a lot of this together, if they do.
Definitely. All right. So again, as mentioned, after this, we get the MJF in the trainer's room. One thing that I did forget to mention, though, is after Max Caster kind of gets shooed away, MJF is like, I can't take this anymore. I got to call my friend Adam Cole. Calls Adam Cole. Adam Cole don't answer. Cole don't answer. Now, this is the thing, right? Is MJF realizing, shit, this is what Adam Cole has, more than one friend. I need to like not be so reliant on him. Or does he do the, Adam, you're the only person I need in this whole fucking, company. Why aren't you there for me? Right?
You weren't there for me. Yeah, you weren't there for me. I would have been there for you. I would have answered the call for you. Yes. It's almost romantic relationship like, right? The way they're playing this out, where like, I thought we were exclusive, but I understand that maybe you're not, okay, I get it. I'll support you. And, but when I really need you, I thought you would have been there.
Oh, 1,000,000%. This has happened in friendships as well, right? You're in this one friendship circle. One of the friends in the friendship circle starts to make friends with a different group, right? Like say you all play basketball together, and then all of a sudden Steve is friends with the football team. And now you're like, what the fuck is
fuck Steve?
yeah,
Hang out
fuck
with
those
us.
guys, right? Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're fine, but we're the basketball team. And then Steve's like, hey, I can have more than one friend. And then you've got to go, well, I'm kind of jealous, but I can't really be that jealous. And then who else do I hang out with? Well, there's no
Yeah.
one else around. Fuck,
Hang
right?
out with Phil.
Yeah, this is very it's very relatable. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, so then we get a vignette. It looks like Samoa Joe is having a bit of a character adjustment. He's going more like gangster now, I guess, like mob
mafia
boss.
gangster. Yeah, which is
I
fine.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for his build and his promo abilities, 100%.
Looks good in the suit.
Looks great in the suit. The thing that is not his fault, and I totally understand why he's still the champion, but doesn't make sense, is when he sits there and he goes, I need to be the AEW champion. Okay, great. But you're the ROH TV champion. Like, do you not even give a shit? Like, that's the thing. If you're going to say, again, I keep using mission statement, but if you're going to say, hey, my vision now is on the AEW championship, well, then fucking get rid of this thing, right? Like, then fucking who cares about that? You know what I mean?
You can even discard it. It makes you look like a shitbag to be like, fuck this thing. People be like, are you kidding me? I fought for fucking years for that thing, right?
Nah, give it to Dalton Castle. Give it to those boys, you know, whatever. And so
he literally can just hand it to one of the boys and be like, give this to your fucking guy.
Yeah, give it to a peacock, you assholes, and then just walk off. Yeah, because like if you're gonna do I'm now a mob boss and we're taking over, well, you kind of already have power, so you kind of should have already been doing that.
If nothing else, address it as such. Like, I'm going to take this power and leverage it to get that power.
Definitely. Yeah. So I like it, but that one detail, and again, it seems like another kind of story that could be bubbling up sooner rather than later. If you start to look at the ROH champions, are these motherfuckers about to get a TV deal? You got Eddie Kingston as your heavyweight champion. You got Samoa Joe as your TV champion. You got the Young Bucks and Hangman as your trios champion. You got Athena as your women's champion. I mean, those are some heavy hitters.
I love it. I would love, we said this a while back that like for a long time on our Christmas episodes, one of the Christmas wish list was a viable number 2. And then like the year we got it, I was like, okay, I want a viable number 3. And you were like, Jesus Christ. But it's like, no, but like there's still enough. There's enough place where like you could go make ROH a completely different style of product that other people like, you know what I mean? Like, and you could have another third thing where other people get to work. And I don't understand why anybody would shit on this. I know there's a lot of this WWE versus AEW hate. Like, we'll talk about it. And like, I think it's weird that you like WWE and that you like the product they're putting out because I just don't. But that's fine. If that's what you want to like, fine. But the people who want to like, be like, look at the low ratings for whichever kind of like, why are you looking for one? And 2, why would you not want there to be multiple options for people to work at, for people to watch, for TV programs to show? Like, why would you not want it? It's so weird. So yes, I would love if they got like viable TV to go on and become their own brand.
Yeah. Now, again, when people talk about ratings and stuff, again, we don't work for the networks, so it doesn't affect our pockets. So shut the fuck up and just watch it.
Like, I want to watch it. Yeah.
Oh, hey guys, Edge's debut got 100 people watching, and John Cena talked about his baldness, and that got like 4 million. And like, guess what? I was the 100 that liked Edge's fucking debut. I don't give a shit. Fuck you.
Yeah, I think you got 4 million weirdos that wanted to watch that. That's weird.
Yeah, you mindless cunts. I don't give a fuck. Go piss up a road, you dipshits. So yeah, Samoa Joe. He's got a cool gimmick. Let's keep it moving. We get Tim. We haven't done this in a while, so we're a little rusty, but it's right before the main event.
Yeah, of course. Feels like home.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What's it, the actual? Well, hold on.
Okay.
So
all right,
let's workshop this. The main, this technically is the main event because Edge comes out and cuts a promo. So that's not a match. So this isn't technically right before the main event.
Final match. This is the main event.
This is the main event.
It's time for the main event.
Yeah. But we get our women's action in the 8:30 time slot because that's where they belong. 8:30. And we get Sky Blue comes out. And if you've noticed, they talked about how Julia Hart blue mist in her face. If you notice, her makeup was a little bit darker this time. Her eyes were a little bit more 5 o'clock shadow-ish, and darker blacks around the pupils and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the debut. Here it is, Tim, of timeless Toni Storm. And she's haggard as could be. Her makeup is all types of fucked up. Looks like she just did the fucking walk of shame, after a hard night of partying.
Yeah,
but she's still the star.
Yeah.
But she's still the star. Yeah. And there's so much in this match that was great. My favorite, though, and I even said this because I was like, did that really happen? Right before they go to break, she says, "It's time for a titty slap."
It's because she saw whatever cue was coming that meant it was time to go to commercial, and she called for commercial, and she hit that mark, and they didn't go fast enough, right? And she gave that to the crowd, but the cameras caught it.
That is true, though. She said it's time for a commercial break. She threw it to commercial. What a great
so either she was early on the throwing it to commercial, or they didn't realize that that she was doing that, and they hovered, because I don't even think we heard slap. She was just like, "It's time for a titty," and then they fucking went out. It was the best thing ever. Kudos to her for doing that, though, right? And I need more of that. If she's controlling when we're cutting to break and stuff. So I will say I'm a little worried now. When she started doing this thing, I was like, this is great. She's lost her marbles a little bit. She's going into this I'm a 1920s debutante. Mm-hmm. But now they've leaned a little bit into the she's crazy, right? Her makeup smeared, and it was we're a little too aware that she's crazy, right? I would have dialed this back a little bit on the subtlety, but hey, we're here now, and this is where we're going. Yeah,
we still could course correct a little bit by saying, she wasn't actually ready for her close-up. And then you get a little bit more put together, right? You could do that. But I do love that idea where the timeless Toni Storm is actually a fucking producer. So it's time for a break. And then, she
directs as well.
Well, she does before her finisher. She does some type of things with her hand, and they do a close-up, and she stops and she misses. She's like, "Oh yeah," and then runs and does the sweet cheek music and gets the win. But there's so many things that I agree with you. I don't want it to be, and now she's pulling her hair out in 3 weeks. That's a little bit too quick. Get it. And honestly, the presentation,
her being delusional and thinking she's a 1920s movie star is great, but we don't need the she can't put her own makeup on, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I would almost have her think that she was in a time machine, because her gear was fine, but it was kind of generic. Have that have laces or a little flapper, like those 1920 flappers, right? Get into the 1920s more than just crazy, right? That's the detail I would work on a little bit more. But Toni Storm wins. She hits the sweet cheek music and pins Sky Blue. Great. She's looking like $1 million. And I don't know what she calls it. I call it sweet cheek music because of AEW, but she's going to be competing on Saturday. So we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to keep more Toni Storm, and I'm all about that. And then we go to a commercial break, and here comes the main event segment. It's not a match. It's a promo. And Adam Copeland comes out on this day, right? And he doesn't say really anything too crazy here, right? So he says, hey, hearing Adam is a fun chant, right? Because they're just chanting Adam, Adam. He's like, never heard that one before.
Never heard that. Cool. That's great. Yeah.
And then he does the typical, wouldn't it be great I was champion? Wouldn't it be great if I wrestled all these names, right? And then he gets to the real meat of what he's here. He's like, hey, after my last match, which we all know what that was, I didn't know what to do. So I asked my kid, and my kid said, go with Uncle Jay and end your career. And as you know, or wrestling fans know, Jay is Christian Cage to us. And so Edge calls out Christian and goes, get out here. We need to talk. And this is when it got good, because Edge gets in Christian's face and was like, you know why I stopped you at WrestleDream? Because it's Sting.
It's fucking Sting.
Here's the thing that's incredible. If you take a step back, just high level overview.
Uh-huh.
These fucking 25, 30-year veterans of the fucking pro
Gray-haired
wrestling
dudes.
industry, are talking about the other old guy that they watched when they were a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, Sting, I love you, but man, that doesn't help your case out at all. I mean,
well, first of all, it is impressive. Like, Sting's still out here doing it.
oh, I know, like
damn.
that. But I'm saying, like, winning matches is like, really, should this motherfucker be
no.
winning all these matches? You know?
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was great. And I really, in this moment, was like, okay, good. Like, I like that they leaned right into this Edge and Christian thing. And for a second, I thought, I was a little worried for a second. I was like, no, Christian's too good as a heel. Like, he can't be like, you're right. Like, let's do it, right? Like, so I didn't really give it too hard consideration that he was going to be in on the game, right? That he was going to fucking be like, piss off. And that's what we got. I'm a little worried that that's, it's probably going to be fine, right? But we are going to get the Edge and Christian ride again at some point, aren't we?
Sometime. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course. The end game, however we get to it, is going to be a retirement match, Hardys versus Edge and Christian. And they all four
fucking get TLC.
Yeah, and then they all fucking, bloodied face, hold their hands up, and then that's how they ride
the Dudleys show up.
Oh,
I don't think Devon can do it anymore. I think something happened. He can't go anymore.
He can spine buster. If Arn Anderson can spine buster people, so it can
true. In a 6-man TLC, he can. Yeah,
easy. But what I was gonna say is, so I like that it also gave us a little bit into the Christian origin story, right? You cut your hair like Sting. You're just a wrestling fan like the rest of us. Like, I like that part too. There was also some fun moments in there that Edge threw that referenced Judgment Day. If you recall, he said, hey, look, I know from personal experience, as soon as Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne get all that information from you, you're dead. And that's how it happened to him in Judgment Day, right?
Happened. Yep.
So I like that nod to what he was just doing over in WWE. And then, now he says, hey, let's do E&C, get the titles. We're the best. Let's wrestle FTR. Let's wrestle Young Bucks, all that stuff.
Well, and in fact, he kind of has a point. Like, it would take another run for them to really be in consideration of like greatest tag team of all time, right? Because a lot of the other people who say greatest tag team of all time kind of had that sort of more longevity than they had, right? So it's not even out of realm of canon, right? To say like, let's show them that we're the fucking best, not them.
Exactly. So he says, let's do it, brother. And Christian goes, you know what? Let's hug. And they're hugging and we're fucking loving it. And then a line that was tweeted and posted by the CEO of AEW.
Yeah.
Christian then gets on the microphone in the middle of the hug and says, go fuck yourself.
Yes.
I don't know if I have laughed genuinely that hard on like a drop of a dime in years.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like, it wasn't like, here's why we can't do that. It was go fuck yourself.
That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Pro wrestling, storytelling would say, I'm turning on you. And Luchasaurus grabs him and chokeslams him. Or it's, you were never my friend. Something silly. But go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's just not what they say. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like, I will say this about Christian, like he seems to know what the moment requires, right? And there's no line, right? After all the pouring out that Edge said, you have to be flippant, right? Like, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, just fucking, how can I, in as few words as possible, fucking jack off on this and just be like, fuck
and
this.
Sting you, right? It's not a no. A no can be a tell me why. Let's talk about, what you're thinking. A go fuck yourself gets right to the point. We're done.
Yeah.
This is it. We're out of here.
Yeah. There's no niceties to be inferred here.
Exactly. And he disengages the hug. He walks out.
But he did
hug him.
There's something
there. He's like, hey, fuck you. Yeah. He's probably thinking that like it's a lesson.
Yeah. I thought you were going to come out and be an asshole. You weren't. But
so
go fuck
good
yourself.
on you, but fuck yourself. Yeah. And so then he disengages the hug, goes up to the ramp, and then says, Tuesday night, this is who you get to wrestle. And Luchasaurus and then Nick Wayne also walk out. And let's also talk about that real quick. Nick Wayne turns on Darby Allin at
Didn't
WrestleDream.
see that coming.
Didn't see it that quick. I didn't see
Yeah.
it like, and credit to them to do that, for him to do it in front of his mom and his mom to be like, what the fuck is happening? My son.
Yeah.
That was
good.
cool too. Yeah.
That's good.
Because I was nervous when she was there. And then when he did it, if they were going to go back to her and she was going to be like, and it's like, okay, well now we're all in it. But that she's petrified that her son is now, following this maniac man. I thought it was even cooler.
He needs to pull the mom.
What's that?
He needs to pull the mom.
Have her
set it in.
Go back to like when Raven had Sandman's ex-wife all hanging on him, and Sandman was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
and then
Nick
like
Wayne's
the little
mom
kid,
is just
all are Christian. And Darby Allin's like, "What the fuck is happening?"
He'll be like, "You know what's happening."
Yeah. So there's the episode. Now here's the question, not here's the question, but here's the thing that I thought after the episode was over. And this was honestly maybe the coolest thing about it, is in the entire history of Edge and Christian, it has always been Edge, Christian, right? Now, when they were together, it was Edge and Christian, but it was always Edge that said 5-second photography. And then they would both do the silly thing.
Edge and Christian 1 and Edge and Christian 2, and Edge was always 1.
Yeah, Edge was always 1. This is the first storyline where they're exact equals. If not, Christian says, this is
right
my
now,
place.
I've got 2 fellas ready to go to bat for me. I'm not wearing a fucking title.
Yeah. You just got a jacket on.
Yeah,
fuck you, pal. Go fuck
bad
yourself.
haircut. Yeah,
But I loved how they leaned into it. Because like I said, Tony Khan tweeted, "Go fuck yourself." The GF, go fuck yourself era and all this stuff.
Here's something you don't see a whole lot in wrestling either, right? Like Edge, Adam Copeland, arguably one of the biggest names in pro wrestling history, came to AEW to fanfare, and he got shit on in his first night. Like, as we close the show, he's looking like a sap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
interesting.
It was great. Yeah. And it's a good story. To kind of piggyback off what you're saying, it's not a thing where it's, hey, I'm here. Okay, cool. What's next? Let's tune in next week. We got a story.
Knock out a jobber or nothing like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're going right into it. This was the difference. And I don't mean to pile on, but this is the difference between Edge and CM Punk. CM Punk comes in, Darby Allin kind of called him out. So then he's going to wrestle him. But then he just does the good guy tour until he runs into MJF. Kind of Eddie Kingston, but he just does the good guy tour, right? He's just doing Powerhouse Hobbs. You want to wrestle? Okay. Penta? Okay. Dustin Rhodes? Okay. And it's like, you can only fucking sing the song so many times, and I don't give a shit. And Edge is like, nope, we're going to do.
No, they went into the biggest story they could with him.
Right now.
Right? Because we could have been like, oh, he's going to take on Kenny Omega. And we would have been like, that's neat. Dream match. Yeah. But no, this is, holy fuck, what's going to happen next? Are Edge and Christian going to get together? Are they going to, how's Christian going to beat Edge? Because it's always been Edge, right? Edge is better, right? Right?
Yeah. That's the part. That's the interesting part. So, yeah. And as mentioned, so again, that was AEW Dynamite. As mentioned, Tuesday night, Title Tuesday here in Independence, Missouri. Well, I'm not in Independence right now, but I will be in Independence, Missouri. We get a Tuesday night AEW Dynamite going head to head with NXT. And Tim, I've got the AEW card. I'll give you a second. If you want to pull up the NXT card, let's just talk about it kind of, we don't have to go into in depth about each thing, but just kind of popcorn our thoughts on the matchup, as they say. And again, people have DVRs, people have 2 screens, people have 2 TVs. They're most likely, if they're hardcore fans, going to be watching both at the same time. And you got the Sean Ross Saps who are doing it and then tweeting saying, Braun Breaker with a big power slam, MJF with a great one-liner. Like, we're all going to be doing that. So it is interesting, though, that they're going head to head because of MLB baseball. But we've got AEW Dynamite Tuesday going up against NXT. I'll read while you're pulling that up.
Find it. Yeah, I'm looking for it. Yeah, you let me know.
I'll pull up the AEW Dynamite. So what we've got for our Title Tuesday funness, We have women's heavyweight, championship match, Saraya versus Hikaru Shida, which, credit to Hikaru Shida. She may not get the best storylines, but she'll always give you a hard-hitting match. That match with Jamie Hayter, good God, that was great. That was not too long ago. It was right before Jamie got hurt. So you got Saraya versus Hikaru Shida. You got Luchasaurus versus a debuting Adam Copeland. You got Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson in a number one contenders match for the TNT Championship. That's what I thought was interesting. Not MJF's heavyweight championship, not the international championship. You're getting a number one contenders match for Christian Cage's title. Whoever wins that's interesting to me. Very interesting to me. Then you get, for the international championship, Jon Moxley taking on Rey Fenix. I imagine we're going to probably course correct and get that title back on Jon Moxley. But again, they put on a good match, so it should be fun. You have Chris Jericho taking on Powerhouse Hobbs, which is Powerhouse Hobbs doesn't fucking run through Jericho. What are we doing? Like, that needs to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it absolutely needs to happen.
And then, just for funsies, I guess, we're reigniting an old feud. We're getting Switchblade Jay White taking on Hangman Adam Page. Hangman, after losing to Swerve Strickland, again, saying that he's going back to the drawing board. We never really know what that means with Hangman, because that could mean, 2 whiskey strongs, or it could mean a 5K, right? Like, who knows what that means to Hangman?
Could be, yeah.
So that should be interesting. And then, so here, let me pull up. I think I can find NXT here.
I got it. Yeah, I got something here.
Oh, you got it?
So they're going to have Asuka versus Roxanne Perez. They're going to have Cody Rhodes delivering a major announcement, they say, whatever that is.
He has a title shot. That's it. I bet you that's it. Hey, guys, what do you guys want to talk about? That heavyweight championship looks good, and I got to finish some kind of story. I bet you that's it. Fuck him.
They've got this NXT Women's Breakout Tournament continuing. Becky Lynch, the NXT Women's Champion, will appear, is all they say here, and Dominic Mysterio is the North American Champion again, right? He lost it and got it back. And then they've got Carmelo Hayes taking on Braun Breaker, but they're going to have Paul Heyman in Braun Breaker's corner and John Cena in Carmelo Hayes. I'm a little interested in why this is happening, right? Because look, the only reason you put John Cena, Paul Heyman, and other people on this card is because you realize you're trying to downplay somebody being competition on that Tuesday, right? Like you're like, hey, AEW is going to show up. We've got to beat him in the ratings. Have to beat him in the ratings. But I don't know why. Because WWE, USA isn't going to be like, well, listen, we're not going to carry your program anymore because somebody else went on a random night and beat you, right? Right. I don't get what the weird pride thing is. And then I don't get it because, John Cena's never coming back to NXT, right? Paul Heyman might for various reasons. Cody Rhodes might make a stumble in there, but, none of this is going to be anything, right? None of it's going to be a story that matters. I don't get why this is a thing. Yeah,
that's the thing is it has no substance. It feels very hollow. If Paul Heyman is, as we've been told throughout his entire WWE career, he is very meticulous and very shrewd when it comes to picking people he's going to corner, right? It took a while for him to do Cesaro and him, right? Curtis Axel was another one that kind of failed, but he going to take a chance on it. Obviously Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, right? So for him to just be like, oh, I'll stand in this guy's corner. It's like, well, what the fuck? Why? Now you just cheapen yourself, right? And this is the thing that
I watched a promo this week of Braun Breaker. He's not bad. I don't think he needs it. He doesn't fucking he's that's what I mean. He's just he doesn't need the Paul Heyman bump here.
It does. It's just it's paint by numbers, because this is exactly what's going to happen. This is exactly what's going to happen. It's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to talk about it next week. I'm going to tell you this is what happened, and it just happened. We're going to have Carmelo Hayes walk out there. We're going to have Braun Breaker, right? All that. You're going to have John Cena with the worst acting skills of any pro wrestler ever, because he's always fucking sucked. I don't care that this legacy thing now, we all love John Cena. He sucked. He's always sucked. He sucked. If you like him, you suck. You don't suck, but you suck. But he's going to go and he's going to go, "Hi guys." And he's going to overact in the corner when Carmelo gets a big body slam or something and go, "Yeah, look at that. Don't look at the balding spot. Yeah, come on guys. Come on guys. Yeah."
He's
right.
Clap too much. Yeah.
Come on. And then you're going to get that fucking walrus on the other side acting like he's going to be talking to Roman Reigns, looking at a phone, just doing this stuff the entire time, which is uninteresting because it's not going to lead to anything. And then you're going to get some shenanigans towards the end. John Cena rolls underneath the bottom rope, hits an AA on Braun Breaker. Carmelo Hayes gets the pin, and then Braun Breaker is going to go after John Cena sometime, and he's not going to do it because it's never going to fucking go anywhere. Cool.
It's just weird to me that, like, yeah, even if you liked NXT, right? If you're like, I watch NXT every week, and you liked back in the day, you were like, I liked John Cena. Like, is this anything other than pure novelty that, like, John Cena's gonna be on NXT? Like, this is what I always was upset about folks who were like, WWE is still better than anything else. I'm like, how can you say that? Their storylines are literally, fully, actually nothing. They aren't anything. There's no actual rising action. There's no conflict. It's all surface level bullshit.
Yep.
Always. And this feels so weird to me. I'm like, why would this even be a thought that this would work? Because it does. NXT might have their highest fucking ratings this week, and I don't get why.
Yeah, it's just hollow corporate stiffness. Hey, here is famous person, and next to not famous person.
It
but
feels
you should like that
it feels
person.
like exactly that. It's like if Pepsi were to come out with a new flavor, and they were like, tomorrow we're having the Pepsi reveal. There would be 50,000 people in this fucking stadium for this new Pepsi flavor reveal, and be like, you could have bought it next week at the fucking gas station. Why did you buy a ticket to this thing? They'd be like, because Pepsi. You're just like, okay.
Yeah. Or hey guys, you have to get the new you have to get the brand new Pepsi flavor with this shitty pizza that no one likes. And so well, I love the Pepsi flavor, so I guess I'm gonna get the shitty pizza.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like.
It really does feel like that, yeah.
Because and look, I am a 100% a AEW fan, and that is where my allegiance, but I'll watch whatever, right? But the difference because I can already hear people say like, well, what about that time Nick Gage just showed up, right? Nick Gage was in a story because he's one of the 5 pillars of MJF trying to take out Chris Jericho. That made sense. Now, it was fucking wild. It was Nick Gage, right? Like, that's the novelty, if you wanted to use that word of like, oh shit, it's Nick Gage, right?
Yeah.
But this is purely, hey guys, I'm going to say John Cena's name, and then he shows up. The
difference there is, you could say, look, okay, so we gave an example. Well, you can find another shitty example that AEW did. Like they failed at many things that we talked about. But we're saying the pattern with WWE is their storylines are never anything meaningful. The Bloodline is the closest thing we got to anything with depth or meaning in decades, and they ran that shit way too fucking long and never hit the mark. Like, and it's still fucking going for some weird reason. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there is nothing there that isn't insulting to the intelligence of a human being, is why I don't understand why you still like watching it. That's what I mean. Like, why do I suddenly think Braun Breaker has Paul Heyman in his corner when he never did and never will again?
Just because he said his name. He just said it out loud.
Just because TNT was forced to Tuesday, it's not like they're trying to take NXT down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or, you get what I mean? Like, it's not even like AEW decided, like, we're making a Tuesday Night War, so WWE said, the fuck you are. It was, hey, we got moved 1 week. We don't even want to go against NXT because fucking, you know what I mean? Like, why would we do that? Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And even like the randomness of saying Jay White versus Hangman next week. Well, at least they have a rivalry that dates back 5 years. So it makes sense why they would want to fight each other again. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know. It's just hollow with WWE.
It feels like a fun party that I'm going to when I watch or go AEW, and it feels like corporate repetitive nonsense when I watch WWE. And so, no, I won't be tuning into any of this NXT thing. I don't care what happens over there. Just like I don't care what happens over on the WWE. I know a lot of people like show the crowd shots of both shows, and like WWE's had their lowest rated show recently, AEW's had their lowest recent, and each side keeps wanting to like fucking point and laugh and say that's why you suck, and I'm just like, I don't get it, guys. I don't like the other thing, but I don't watch it. Like, can we leave it at that? I don't.
Perfect point. That's a great way to wrap this up. Is we don't watch the other thing, but if you do, that's fine. But don't tell us our thing sucks. Like, because no, no, you know what I mean?
No.
Like,
take that opinion, give it to the Peacock. You know?
Yeah. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
The Spanish announce table.